Alright, Rasquatch here. We're almost done with our initial 12 teams and their kind of preseason breakdown that they have for NCAA football. 2012, the project that we're working on. This next team is the UL Laf Ragin Cajuns. This will be my brother Nate's team. Before we get started, I wanted to take a look at the program. This would be the third year under head coach Ricky Bussell, and his previous two, not so good. He went 3-9 and then 3-8 respectively during those seasons. So kind of an interesting pairing here, I think. Probably the most interesting of all the other ones that we have, primarily because UL Lafayette at this time was running a very run-heavy spread type of offense, and Nate's going to be bringing in this pass-heavy air raid type of offense. So we'll see how the pairing works, but I think Nate's got the right idea, because if we take a look at the roster, he does have Jerry Babb, who's only a sophomore at this point, but looks like a good fit to kind of do a good balanced system between running and passing. And then he's got Luke Sniski as a junior that can come in and do some of the strong arm stuff. His halfbacks, though, are in really bad shape, so if they do plan on running a lot, they're going to have a long season, just simply because they don't really have the talent at halfback or at fullback. The wide receiver core is pretty average, especially for the Sun Belt. They can get by with this, especially in a pass-heavy system, but they are going to struggle at tight end. These guys are both possession guys. They're not going to beat anybody down the field, but they're decent receivers and could be looked upon as a third or fourth option. Their offensive line is pretty poor overall, slightly below average, but a pretty average squad if you compare them to the rest of the Sun Belt teams. So the only real weakness is going to be here at right tackle. I can see them giving up a lot of sacks too. They have a true freshman starting, Jesse Newman, at that position. So just looking at the roster itself, they could struggle a lot in 2004. In fact, they went 4-7 in real life, and I think that unless they choose to go to a very pass-heavy scheme, they could be in that same position again. So looking at the coach goals, biggest thing I see is going to be 3 rushing touchdowns. I think they can get there. 2,000 total yards of offense, I think they'll get there. 1,000-yard rushing, I do not believe they'll get there. 10 passing touchdowns, they can. But really the things that are going to get them is if they can't get 500-plus yards rushing, which actually might be difficult depending if they go to pass heavy or not, and then winning 4 games in a season. And then for recruiting purposes, they're pretty low in everything. They're either below average or average. The only thing they're slightly above average in is their program stability, and that's just because Ricky Bussell's been there for a few seasons now. And then as far as needs, you can see on offense 6 of their 13 needs are there. Looking at their team, they could really use a lot of everything. Quarterback, though, I think they're in decent shape, and if they don't get one this year as a high priority, that's fine. But at wide receiver and tight end especially, and at halfback, they really need a lot of help there. And then they could use some help on the offensive line as well, especially with the position their tackles were in. Well, based on what they have, I think 4-7 is a good goal. If they can get to at least 4 wins, it's probably a pretty good season for them, to be honest, especially based on where they're at roster-wise. Hopefully they can get there. We'll just have to wait and see. All right, talk to y'all later.